Thank you, everyone, for joining our Monday evening call, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we talk about final expense training. So tonight, we're going to talk about some objections that agents get, how to address those objections, and how to overcome them. Why has it even become an objection is more than likely because you didn't cover it before you got down to the close, right, during the sales process itself. So it's very important for agents to understand when someone gives you, I want to think about it, right? Let's walk through exactly what that means, okay? So let me go through some of the different things that I kind of say and I do while I'm in the home. I'm going to go through some objections and how to address those objections. So let me go ahead and here, and let me just kind of tell you. So someone's going to tell you, like, I want to think about it. And usually what they say is, or I reply, right? Usually more time doesn't reflect better decisions. Usually more information does. Okay. So I want y'all to kind of pause and write that down for a moment there, because that's a very valuable golden nugget right there. Usually more time doesn't reflect better decisions. Usually more information does. Okay. So one thing that's really important for you as an agent going out in the field is you can absolutely directly say that to a client. But that's something that you need to be thinking as well in the back of your mind is, hey, maybe I missed something that I should have said. Maybe it could have just been as simple as I don't collect any money or anything along those lines, right? Clients can think, because they've had another insurance agent in the past that said to them, hey, I think that this person collects cash. I thought when I buy a life insurance policy, they take the money out, right? Like when I bought my car insurance, they drafted the money out, like right then and there. I don't know, right? But when you go get a car, is your first car payment due that day? No, but you might have to put money down. Is that the way that it works with this? They might be thinking that. So if you're not addressing these concerns prior to them becoming an objection, that's where you can get hurt in this stuff and you can lose sales. And then sometimes it's like you're so far gone, it's hard to come back. So what I usually tell them is, and you can say exactly what I just said, right? So usually more information does. That's what's going to make the change. So I've heard agents also say, hey, tell me a little bit more about what that means. And what you're going to get from that, from someone saying, hey, tell me a little bit more about what that means, their response to that question can be, hey, honestly, like, I can't afford $60 a month. And they can just be direct with you. At that point in the sales process, it's okay to be very direct. Initially, we don't want to say life insurance or anything along those lines, right? We kind of want to dance around it and just say final expense or state regulated program. But once you get comfortable and you're at the end, hey, you don't have anything to lose. You literally have nothing to lose at this point. And this is your only opportunity to get this sale. It is a one-sit close. So yes, of course, I absolutely want you to call the agent hotline, right, and get this third-party validation. But I want you to be well equipped while you're in the home to make sure that you can get these deals done yourself. So a question that you can also ask is maybe, what, before you leave the house, it's like, hey, you could literally say, like, you're on the way out, say whatever you want, right? It's like, listen, just be honest with me. Like, what did I do wrong that I could do better when I sit down with the next person? Because my job is to help protect families. And if I'm not doing my job right, I need you to tell me what I did wrong. So that way, at least I could do it better the next time, right? I understand you don't want to buy any insurance. I get it, right? I understand you took time to fill this card out and send it into our office. I understand that. You basically, hey, raise my hand, at least get me out the information. I did my job. But what information were you missing, right, for you to make this decision today? And then you just pause. Let them go ahead and say something back. Those are called hard questions. Very hard questions can either make or break a deal, or when you ask a hard question, you get an answer that you need to either solidify whether or not this is a qualified candidate, right? If someone's going to be buying from me today or not, right? So those are very, very important things. What information from me are you missing? Like what, maybe I missed something that I shouldn't, maybe I missed something that I didn't cover, but I should have covered, right? Usually in my experience with clients, it's they at one point in their life have definitely sat down with an insurance agent, right? And you're talking 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, definitely sat down with an insurance agent at one point in their life. And maybe it was a bad experience that they had, right? It could have been a bad experience with an agent, could have been a bad experience with their bank and having overdraft fees. It could have been a really bad experience with the insurance company and they had it on a husband and wife and that company didn't pay for whatever reason. You don't know why there's an issue and why they may not want to buy from you today. But if you cover these basic points, okay, that's going to eliminate all objections before they become an objection. The whole objective of us writing down and having scripts typed up or doing all these calls is to make sure you cover all the bases, right? So let me give you an example. Before I even get down to the part where I would have someone that is concerned about overdraft fees, and that's their concern in the back of their mind, but they're not going to tell you, right? What information from me are you missing? Type question. Okay. Is, hey, Miss Mary, just so you know, the way that this works is it's tied to what's called Social Security billing. Now, I know I asked you, you're on Social Security. You said you get paid on the 3rd of the month. But let me ask you a question real quick. If the 3rd falls on a Saturday or Sunday, you get paid the Friday before, don't you? It's correct. Now, with most insurance companies, what happens is they don't draft it on that day, unfortunately. They know that, hey, since you're getting paid on the Friday, they don't know that you're getting paid the Friday before, right? And the 3rd falls on that Saturday or Sunday. You end up getting, they think in like their mind, they're like, hey, we'll just wait till Monday to draft. Can't even send it to the bank yet. So what happens is when they go to try to draft that money, you've already gone to the bank, right? You've already taken your money out of your account because you think when you get paid, the insurance company should get paid. And you know what? You're right. You're absolutely 100% correct. You think that when you get paid, your Social Security, the insurance company should get paid. That way it's done. You don't have to worry about it. And that's what we call Social Security billing. So if the 3rd falls on a Saturday or Sunday, hey, they know that you get paid on the Friday before. So that's how they're going to go ahead and set that up to make sure that you don't have any overdraft fees. Because we know that extra $35, $45, that can hit you really hard, especially when you're on a fixed income. So it's very important for us and for me to explain how that works. Does that make sense? It does? Okay, great. Okay, great. And just so you know, one thing that's really important, the way that they do this is, and this is kind of crazy, and you'll probably remember this too, is they used to have someone that came by and collected cash, right? Isn't that just crazy? They used to have someone that came by and collected. I remember that. My mother did it. My father did it, right? They had insurance when we were kids, and that's how they, would pay the insurance man. And he'd probably sit around and have a beer with the family, right? Probably would, hang out. The times weren't as moving as fast as pace as they are today. So that was just a different era. And as you know, I'm sure you're well aware, right? We got these things over here. We got these phones, and with the phones that we have, all these things are electronic nowadays. So what they did to make sure that we can lower prices, okay, is they hooked it up not only to Social Security billing, but as soon as you get paid, they just draft it right on out of the account. It's done. It's really simple. And what does that prevent? Because that's actually something that people kind of get concerned about. So they get concerned. People can say sometimes, I don't want no insurance company, or I don't have anyone drafting out of my account. And I totally get that, right? I totally get that. But the reason why we have life insurance isn't for us. Life insurance is selfless. Not having life insurance is selfish. Okay. So we want to make sure that we have this for the day that it needs to be there when we pass away. Now, let me ask you a quick question. When you go into the end of your life, okay, and you go into hospice care, in-home hospice care, or you go to a hospice facility, or maybe you're in long-term care, or you're in a skilled nursing facility, whatever it might be, rehabilitation center, whatever it might be, and you end up passing away. When you go into a facility like that, or in-home hospice care, I can guarantee you one thing. You're not getting up, going down to Walmart, and getting a money order, writing the name of the insurance company, writing how much money that you owe them, the policy number, okay, putting in an envelope, writing the location that it has to go, putting a stamp on it, walking down to the mailbox. In fact, they don't let you leave the facility. So we know you're not doing that with a check or a money order, okay? So we want to make sure that this is there for your family when they need it most. Because what you're doing is a very selfless thing. You're very smart for getting insurance. And honestly, I'm happy that you're doing it. So like I said, my job is really simple. Okay. I just go through the programs. I show you what you qualify for. I don't collect any money or anything along those lines. It's not my job. It's between you and the company. You deal with that, not me. Okay. Once we get you qualified, we'll go from there. So that is overcoming an objection before it becomes an objection, because I did my job and explained to them, hey, I want to think about it in their mind is because I don't have the money today. Today's the 8th. I got paid on the 3rd. The money's gone. right? But if you don't tell them that before you sit down with them and explain it to them, how would they understand? They wouldn't know that. They think, hey, if I'm going into a dealership, I got to put some money down. I'm going to get the car insurance. They might just draft it out of my account today, whatever it might be, right? Whatever they're accustomed to with payments, right? So keep in mind that the reason why sometimes people don't want to buy, once again, is it's usually from a bad experience. That can be that they don't trust you, right? That can be a big factor too. So how do you overcome the trust barrier with the client? That's a very important thing. So we start off with building rapport. We find what's called common ground. You like World War II, I like World War II, right? You like the Cowboys, I hate the Cowboys. No, I'm just kidding. I like the Cowboys, you like the Cowboys. We're best friends on whatever you want, right? We're on common ground, whatever it is. This is a very important thing. I learned this early in my career. I never one up a client either, right? Whatever they're doing, they did in their life, that is amazing. No way. 40 years at the same company. Not, well, my grandfather worked at a company for 42 years. You know what I mean? Like, you don't do that. Okay. That's amazing. Praise them. Congratulate them. That's awesome. No way. That must have been amazing to work for the company that long. And you know what? You were probably there than all the managers. You've probably seen so many people come and go, and you don't want to go to the top anyways to deal with all those headaches. Am I right? You get them laughing, smiling. Okay. So that's an important thing. Now, as you saw when I was kind of talking about dealing with the objection or prior to the objection and talking about why they drafted out of the account, I leaned forward and I was like, believe it or not, they used to have people come by and collect cash. Now, as you saw there, that's a tonality change, softer tone, softer approach, because I know what comes next. It's like, yep, I remember that. And I'm like, and then I sit back, then we get excited with each other, right? We're engaged in the conversation, right? That's building trust. That's constant rapport. Then I sit back and I'm like, and he probably used to come by and have a beer with the family, didn't he? Right? He probably came by around Christmas and the holidays too. Isn't it crazy? People used to collect cash. I don't even know the last time I used cash, right? That's probably, geez, I don't even carry that stuff. I just use my card. I got Chase Bank. Who do you have? Found out what bank that they have now. Now we know they got a bank account. Oh, I use this MetaBank. Good luck. Hey, nice to meet you. And I'm out of here. Right? The only way I can help you is if you have a bank account. So tonality is a very important thing, especially while you're quoting. Okay, so that's a very important thing too, especially while you're quoting. And reiterating some of those points, like I don't collect any money or anything along those lines. So when you're quoting someone, that's another example of making sure you use the proper tonality there. Okay. Yeah. So this is so you're going through it. Let's say, for example, and you got your H chart, right? Whatever it is, your bronze, silver, gold, whatever you want to call it. And I go through it. I'm like, yep. So we got the 10,000. That's only $60 a month. Then we have the 15,000. That's only $80 a month. And then we have the 20,000, and that's only $100 a month. Now, Miss Mary, based on these three, which one do you think makes the most sense for you? Yeah, that 15,000, that's the most common one right there. Let me circle that so I don't forget. Now, is everything on this card spelled correctly? Just want to make sure we got everything right there. And you start writing the application. So that's very, very important. Okay, so this is very important too. So sometimes right at that point in time, you're going to have a quick reminder that you don't collect any cash or anything along those lines, because it's important that, in their mind, they're like, they look at an option and then they're like, yeah, well, I just want to think about it. Okay. Like, I totally get that. Right. And you know what? You're 66 years old. You've been thinking about it for 66 years, right? You don't have anything in place. I get it. But usually more time doesn't allow us to make better decisions. More information does. So before I leave, right, because I went over everything, I told you I'd give you all the information, I'd be out of your hair. But before I leave, what information from me are you missing? Body language. I sat back, not as aggressive, right? I sat back, boom. So I was leaned in with the quote. I'm ready to write the app. You know what I mean? So like, what information are you missing from me? There's got to be something. Is it me? Is it the shirt? You don't like gray shirts? And I'll wear a different color shirt. What do you want me to wear? Right? Smile, laugh with them. So just kind of figure that out and just get people to be honest with you. And once they're honest with you, then you could kind of take that information, and those are your bullets. And I'm glad you told me that. And the reason why we drafted out of your account is XYZ. And the way that we prevent overdraft fees is Social Security billing, right? So that's super important. This is a very important note as well. It's either more information from you because of the lack of information that you provided due to missing key points to ensure they don't have any mental objections that you need to overcome. Because sometimes what happens is it gets a little late for you to go ahead and go down to the end of the conversation, and you're all the way there, right? And then they tell you no because of something you have no idea why it is no, but because you didn't cover the bases. So let me go ahead over here, and I'm just going to pull up the comments if you guys have more questions too. And let's see. I got this one today. So Armando said he's got this one today. I want burial insurance, not life insurance, because I'm on SSDI and that. Okay. Yeah. And I don't want that to affect my benefits. I don't want to lose my benefits. Okay. So just so you guys kind of know exactly what he's talking about is if people have a certain income level and they're meeting financial aid levels, such as Medicaid, the state, which is financial aid, Medicaid, okay, what they do is they look at assets. If you have X amount of assets, right, X amount of dollars in assets, you need to liquidate those assets before we kick in and pay you a dime. So if you have 4 months worth of income in a whole life insurance policy, right, we're going to take that money out of that life insurance policy and you're going to spend it. And then after you spend all that money, then we'll start giving you benefits again. But until then, you don't qualify for Medicaid, right? Where you're on hold basically for Medicaid. So what he's talking about there is an easy transition. Oh, okay. Burial insurance. Perfect. You know what? Let me look at that real quick. So basically, so you just want the burial insurance. You don't want the life insurance. Okay. Now, let me kind of explain what that means, Miss Mary. Basically, the way that it is since you're on Medicaid, the state says, hey, you can't have too much money in what they call cash value. Do you know what cash value is? No? Okay. So basically, the way that cash value works is every time that you make a payment, the insurance company saves a little bit of money for you. And that becomes a concern with the state if you have a lot of money in cash value, because then they say, hey, we're going to cut this off and you're not allowed to have anything at all. Every single year, I get phone calls to my office from people that deal with them. They're caseworkers that deal with clients that are on Medicaid. And they call me and I fill out forms for them every single year. And they say, hey, how much money does this person have in cash value? $100. Okay, perfect. Great. Now, for the state to even impact any of your benefits, $3,000 in cash value. And for you guys as agents, that varies by state. So figure it out. $3,000 in cash value, right? With this policy, you're paying $80 a month. It would take a very long time, decades, right, for you to get to $3,000 in cash value. And you know, an easy way to fix that is that daughter that you were just telling me about that you love so much. If she's the owner of the policy, the cash is in her name, not yours. You're just the life insurance policy is in your name. That's fine. It's not a problem at all. So that's one way to solve that problem as well, Miss Mary. Makes it really simple. And I handle this stuff for you every single year. That's literally my job, right? That's what we get paid to do. Okay. You won't lose your benefits. So next, I get paid on Friday. Can you draft on the 3rd Friday of every month? Yeah. So, okay. So I see what you're saying there. So Matthew asked a question. He said, I get paid on Friday. Can you draft on the 3rd Friday of every month? So sometimes when people have benefits through their company will take it out of their account based on, their check, right? So they're actually doing a withholding from their check before they even send them the money. So it's like, boom, that money comes out and it comes out on, I get paid every 2 weeks. I want the money to come out, on every 2 weeks. So that's obviously something that we can't do with Social Security billing, right? If they're not on Social Security, we can't set it up for a different date. So something like that should be a pretty easy objection to overcome, right? So basically a client would say, hey, I get paid on Friday. Can you just draft on the 3rd Friday of every month? That's actually a really great question. I'm actually glad that you asked that because most clients ask questions just like that. And like I was telling you before, I just set it up to a specific day. So you're probably saying the third Friday because, you're working on the job that you work, and you get paid every 2 weeks or once a week. So you have some of your bills, just like what I do. You got some of your bills and you stagger them out, right? Maybe you have your house note that's on the first of the month. And then maybe you have your car note on the second week of the month, right? So this one, you might want it to be the third of the month because you know how important it is to have it anyways. And you want to make sure that it gets paid. So basically what I would recommend over here is let's just make sure, I'll look at the calendar real quick. Let's just make sure it's either Friday or a couple days after that to make sure that you have the cash. So it's guaranteed to be there. So when you pass away, your family's guaranteed to get paid. Does that make sense? Perfect. So that one shouldn't be an objection. I'm not buying anything. I just want to know what this is about. So Armando said, I'm not buying anything. I just wanted to know what this is about. And just so you guys know too, sometimes you're going to have objections that there's no one, no matter how good you are, is going to overcome it, right? I don't want to sell someone something that they don't want at all. So of course, that's why we have qualified candidates, right? We take time to send leads out, get the information back, and we're kind of scrubbing them. Hey, is this person a good fit for what we want, for what we're doing, right? Age, right? Based on where we live in the counties, we're looking at those zip codes. What's their income? So we're looking at different factors that help us kind of scrub these clients down. So not every objection you are going to be able to overcome, or even if you do, the client may not even stick on the books. So there is such thing as pushing too hard, right? But you better try to overcome every single objection. So sometimes, like we'll do like calls like this, and it's just like, hey, you know what? I'll get to the point in the conversation where someone's like, boom, they give me an objection. You guys can unmute too if you want to do a live objection real quick, and I'll overcome it. And then like at the end of the conversation, I'm like, hey, you know what? Great. Thanks for taking time to sit down with me. Here's my card. If you ever need any life insurance, just call me. Boom. And then I'm out. Right. So let's go over this one real quick. I'm not buying anything. I just want to know what this was about. That's actually a great question, Miss Mary. You know what? A lot of people, they kind of say the same exact thing. Okay. They just want to know what the information is. Right. And that's it. They don't want to buy anything, and I don't get you. I don't blame you, because I don't want to buy anything and I don't have anything to sell you. In fact, nothing I have to sell you. Like I was telling you from the beginning, my job is just to get the information out to you and show you what you qualify for. You see, you had taken time to request this information when you fill out the card. You wrote your name and your address and all that stuff, and you sent it in. So like I said, my job was just to get the information out to you and show you what you qualify for. Now, one thing that's really important, Miss Mary, is I don't collect any money or anything along those lines. Basically, what I do is I go through the state regulated program, which is composed of the 15 largest companies in the state. Okay. When I go ahead and I look through that program, I just see which ones you qualify for based on your age, male or female, right? Type of medications you take, and if you smoke or not. So there's no blood or urine test. And that could be something that a lot of people get concerned about too. Is there a blood or a urine test, right? So like I said, I'll just show you what you qualify for. If something makes sense from there, we'll go forward. If not, I'll leave the information with you and you call me whenever you're ready. Does that sound like a deal? Deal. So after that, I'll get into the quote with Miss Mary, because we're getting to the end of the conversation here with her. And it's very important that when you're getting to the end of the conversation, we're going to try and lock this down, right? So before you leave that house, if you can't overcome an objection, like the ones that we've gotten so far, right? We're not going to be able to, as an agent, you don't want to leave the house at all. And we don't want you to leave the house until at least you give us a shot with the agent hotline, because it could be something as simple as, hey, she had an agent that just had one option to show her. And that one option that the agent quoted her came back and came back with a different price. So instead of just adjusting the face amount and getting the policy issued, right? They go ahead and they show the client, oh, well, if you want that 8,000, now it's going to be $100 a month instead of $50 a month. It's like, what? Just pivot to another company. You want to pivot to another company? We have so many companies, and that might have been her experience in the past, right? So that could have been an issue with her, is she's like concerned. Maybe she was concerned, like I said, about being a blood and a urine test, which we call those paramedical exams. Maybe she could be concerned with that because one time she had to do a blood and urine test, and she thinks that's a major inconvenience. And so do I. So maybe explaining those little things can go a long way with her. And reiterating the points. Hey, this is just about the state regulated final expense program, where they basically took the 15 largest companies in the state. They put them into one program so they can make it easily affordable. So no matter how old you get or how sick you get, The amount you pay per month never goes up. The amount of insurance you have never goes down. And it's designed to last your whole life. So like I said, Miss Mary, I don't have anything to sell you. My job is just to show you what you qualify for. Does that sound all right? Deal. And then you can move forward from there. Now, if you get down to it all the way at the end and she's like, I'm not buying anything, I just want to know what this was about. Great, right? Great, that's awesome. And like I said, I kind of explained everything that we really needed to go over today. And let me ask you a question. Are you going to get any younger? No. Are you going to get any healthier? Probably not. We generally don't get healthier as we get older. And let me ask you another question. Has any of your bills ever gone down in life? They haven't. Right? So since none of your bills have gone down in life, okay, since you ain't getting any younger and you're not getting any healthier, this number right here is the lowest that it'll ever be. Price is only going to go one way. It's only going to go up. And now I know you've been thinking about it for 66 years. So you have an opportunity to go through the state regulated program where they took the 15 largest companies in the state and they put them into one program to make it affordable. So no matter how old you get or how sick you get, the price doesn't go up. The amount of insurance you have doesn't go down, and it's designed to last your whole life. So right now is the best price, because I could come back out here in a month, which happens all the time, where people call me, text me, they tell me to come back, and their health has changed. And that's what makes them think, hey, I need to get some insurance. Major life events happen. They lose someone that they love. In fact, you might even sent this card in because you, when you read it, you thought, right? You had thought for a second about this card. You're like, hey, maybe I need to help protect my family. Okay. And it is, you're right. It is your responsibility. It's your obligation to do it. It's not my responsibility. It's not my obligation. My responsibility and my obligation was to come out here, sit down with you and go over the information and show you what you qualify for. So like I said, Miss Mary, based on these three, which one makes the most sense for you? And that's how you would get the close in that situation. If you don't ask for the sale, you won't get the sale. So remember, after you're done with that objection, revisit those three options. So Miss Mary, based on these three, which one makes the most sense to you? Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, but I really just want to think about it. I totally understand. Like, I get it. You know what? A lot of people say that actually. And you're not the first person to tell me that they just want to think about it. I understand. It's actually very important that you do think about it. And it's also very important that you find a company that's right for you. But sometimes people just don't trust the person they're sitting down with, right? And you seem like a nice person. I hope I seem like a nice person. Do I seem like a nice person? I do. Good. I'm glad that I do. But listen, I can't leave here until we at least get the information and go over every single thing, right? I'm not telling you got to buy something today, but if I go home and I tell my wife, right, listen, we can't buy that nice cereal that you like. We got to go get the generic brand, okay? Because Miss Mary over here, because you had told me that you don't want to get anything today. And you know, and I know that you need something, right? And there's nothing wrong with the off-label Fruity Loops. I like those ones too. In fact, that's what I ate when I was growing up. But I do know for a fact that in order for you to go ahead and get qualified, what I got to do is I got to go ahead and run this information through the state regulated program. Once they tell us which one you get approved with, okay, based on these prices over here, once they tell us which one you get approved with, and if it's approved with immediate coverage, meaning as soon as you make that first payment and you pass away the next day, you're covered instantly. So like I was saying, Miss Mary, based on these three, which one makes the most sense for you? And then shut up and let them answer. Joe responded to Sherry. Oh yeah, nursing home is different, Sherry. The irrevocable form only solves the beneficiary. Yeah. So if you guys are reading the comments over here, she was asking about irrevocable beneficiary. So an irrevocable, if you guys have more objections or anything too, just raise hand, drop it in the comments. We can unmute it too. If you guys want to go live with some objections, that'd be awesome, right? We could do some live objections real quick. I love that stuff. So don't be scared. Someone don't be scared to give me some objections. All right. And then while we're doing that, we'll talk about irrevocable beneficiaries. So for some people are green, they're new to the industry. They don't even know what an irrevocable is. or a revocable beneficiary. So an irrevocable beneficiary is someone that you cannot revoke it, right? Irrevocable. You can't take it back. When you choose this person, that's it. So funeral homes, sometimes when they're selling a funeral home plan, they will be the beneficiary, and it's irrevocable. You can't change it. Okay. So what happens is that's not going to solve that problem. Okay. So you can't ever change it. It's like all that we can do, when I ran into it a couple of times, is we could do paid up, right? That's it. You do paid up policy, you can cancel it. That's all you can do, but you can't change the beneficiary. Revocable just means you can revoke it. You can change it. All right. Oh, Tim Van Summer. Oh, golly. All right. Give me something good. Oh, no. I lowered your hand on accident. Where'd you go?
Yep. Hey, Holden. Hey,
what's up, my man?
What's up, dude? Appreciate the great information. I've run into this many times. Hey, I don't care what the price is and stuff. I don't ever make decisions right away. My family and I, we pray about it, and we think about it first. It doesn't matter how good the price is or whatever.
Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. So there's a couple different things that you're going to do there. One, you can grab their hand and start praying right there. Right.
Yeah.
That's a very quick way to solve that problem. Very, very quick way to solve the problem. Yeah. Let's pray right now. How long does it take? Tim, you know this better than anyone. How long does it take for a prayer? Now, for a prayer to come through, that may take a little longer, but
sure. Yep.
But to say a prayer don't take that long. Okay. Right. So hey, I totally understand. I don't like to make a lot of decisions without at least, consulting my wife anyways. But I will tell you, if I went out and I got a really nice car and I came home to my wife, I don't think she'd be mad. And I will also tell you, right, that if you had something to help protect your family, I don't think that they'd be mad. I don't think that when mom dies, they're going to be like, I wish mom would have consulted me before giving me this $15,000 check. You think that's how they're going to act? I don't think so either. So this is something that you do for them. You don't ask them to do. Right? When they were younger, you would go ahead and you would wrap up the Christmas presents and stuff, and you would give it to them. This is the last Christmas present you're going to leave them. And I know you want to leave them something, because you told me you want to leave them something. And I know sometimes the issue might be what's on this page. It might just be how much this is. But like I was telling you, I can go up, down, and in between. I was just showing you the 3 most common options. Okay. So my job, like I was saying, was just to go over this information and show you which ones you qualified for. So I understand you want to think about it. You've been thinking about it for long enough. You and I both know you've been thinking about it long enough. Is that right? It is. So let's just go through this and let's see which one makes the most sense. All I got to do is I got to get you qualified. Once I get you qualified, okay, then we can go from there. I'll have them send you out a policy. You can look at it. You can get it squared away, right? You can send that to your kids, and then your kids can look at the policy. And then they can go ahead and call me and tell me that they want to add more insurance because of how good it is. Right? Does a chef have to eat their own cooking? They do. They do. I have life insurance because I know how important it is. I know if I died tomorrow that my wife and my son are set. I know that they're okay. It's my responsibility. It's my obligation to make sure my family's okay. It's the same for you. So this isn't something you ask your family about. This is something you do for your family. That's how I would handle that one.
Love it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sherry.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So what the gentleman talked about praying about it, I get that all the time. Okay. All the time. And this is because people know that I'm religious, and because I mean, of course I wear a cross around, but how I carry myself. But anyway, what I tell people is that God wants all his people to come home who believe in him for eternal life. He doesn't want you to have to burden your family. That's the reason why he sent me here. And it works.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I completely agree. Right. We're all here for a reason. Right. And there's a reason why I'm here right now. And you could probably tell them the story of the of the ship that came by. So there's a little story thank you, Sherry. So yeah, so there's a little story. I'm going to try and refresh my own memory, but the story goes something to the effect of a man was stranded in the ocean and he was on a life raft. Okay. Actually, you know what it's from? It's from Pursuit of Happiness. Okay. It's from Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith and his son, Jaden Smith. and you guys have to listen to this at this point in time. But he's basically telling the story of how a man was stranded at sea, right? And a boat came up to him and he was like, no, hey, God's going to send someone to come save me. You don't have to worry about it, right? Dies, goes to heaven. And he's like, why didn't you send someone to save me? And he's like, I sent you a boat, you dummy. We are the boat. We are the vessel. We're here to go ahead and solve the problem that you have, right? That's our job. That's our responsibility to solve this problem that you have. So if you didn't, right, want any insurance, you wouldn't have taken time to fill this card out. But I will tell you something, because this has happened to me too before, Miss Mary. I will tell you something. When you saw this card and you read it, it invoked some type of emotion. And that emotion was probably something to do with someone in your family dying. Someone in your family that you know that had a burden. Because, Miss Mary, there's two types of burdens when someone passes away. The first type is the emotional burden. And I can't help you. I can't help you with that. We all grieve in our own way. But the second type is the financial burden. And that one I can help you with. In fact, that's my job. It's my responsibility. And it's your responsibility to make sure that your family's protected. And I know it's very important to make sure that they have insurance. But wouldn't you agree that having insurance is a selfless thing to do? Shut up and let them talk. Yeah, I'd agree with that. And that's something that I didn't want to do. And then go back to talking about yourself. That's something I didn't want to do. I didn't want to be a selfish person. And I die, my wife is stuck with bills and no way to pay them. I wanted to do the selfless thing. I didn't go downstairs and ask her about getting insurance, right? I didn't ask her, hey, do you want a policy? I said, hey, we need this. I know when I die that you're set. I know if you die, I'm rich. No, I'm just kidding. And by the way, I won't remarry. Or actually, no, she's not allowed to remarry. I think that's how it goes. Sherry, do you still have a question over here? I see the hand is still raised. I might not have hit lower hand. No. Okay, cool. All right. So who's got an objection for me? Anybody? You got something good, right? You're out in the field all day. People give you objections. They tell you stuff. They got to give you something. Got to give you something. Raise hand. Oh, someone just unmuted. Oh, there he is. Mark, come on. Give me something.
I don't need life insurance. I've got a bunch of cash in the bank.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm glad. I'm really happy for you that you got that cash in the bank. You wouldn't believe how many people I sit down with that don't have anything. They're not prepared at all, right? So the fact that you have cash in the bank means that you're a very smart person, because most of the clients I sit down with, they live check to check every single month. They get one check and that's it. They got to pay all the bills and they don't have anything saved. They don't have a rainy day fund. So what we can do, okay, is we got a couple different options here. Because you have money in the bank, what happens is you kind of need a little bridge from when you pass away, okay, to make sure that your family can cross that bridge and get the money that you have saved away. And that's kind of what insurance does, because it's a check that gets to your family in 24 hours. Now, you see what happens when someone passes away, even with my grandmother, who my grandfather was married to for 55 years and 3 months, okay? Even being married that long, you still have to go down, okay? When someone passes away, you still have to go down to the morgue. You got to get the death certificate. You have to take the death certificate. You have to bring it into the bank. Then you have to have the clerk tell you that the manager's not here today, or they can't process it because they didn't dot the I or cross the T and there's some type of error with it, or they do process it and it takes 48 hours, 72 hours, 5 to 7 business days. Or maybe it's in a retirement account and your retirement account has stocks inside of it. And maybe you pass away on a Friday at 1 o'clock and no one's thinking about liquidating assets. Then you have to liquidate assets, and then it's trade. You got to do the trade on the stock, and then you sell the stock. And then once you sell the stock, then it takes a couple of days to clear, right? You're talking about cash. You're not going to get cash for at least 5 to 7 business days at a minimum, but their name's probably not even on the account. Or even if their name is on the account and they're a beneficiary, right? Beneficiary with this kind of works the same way as life insurance. In fact, it's a little bit different though. What happens when someone passes away and you got a retirement account, if you do, right, is they are a beneficiary. The money goes to them, right? Yes, it does. So what happens is they need to open up an account. And then once they open up an account, they can transfer the assets. How long have you had the stocks that are in those accounts? Very long time. You don't want to sell the winners in the stocks. When you sell the winners, you got to pay taxes. Old Warren Buffett says that, right? Hold on to the winners and sell the losers and buy more of the winners, right? So we don't want to sell the stock. In fact, you probably want to leave that not just to your kids, but to your grandkids too. So life insurance ensures that there's not a fire sale, that they don't just take this beautiful home that you have that's worth $500,000 and they just sell it for 250 grand. They don't just take all those coins that you got, those beautiful coins that you were telling about that you're a collector, and sell them for nothing. It gives them cash. Cash allows people to make decisions. Okay. We want them to make good decisions, not, hey, dad died, we're all in a hurry. COVID hit a second time, or a different whatever it is. And your daughter just got laid off from work. And now she's got to go out and liquidate her assets till she can liquidate dad's assets and get some cash. This is just a bridge. That's all it is. It's really simple. You die, we send you a check in 24 hours. That easy. Now they can make good decisions. Have you ever heard of someone passing away and then they sell mom's property for nothing? That's what happens. I don't want that to happen with you. 1, 2, second path to go down. That's fine. You got plenty of money saved in the bank, right? Most people don't. So you're a pretty smart person. I can tell you're a smart person. Smart people make smart decisions. So one thing that we do have is we got a couple different things that we can offer you. Instead of you making $100 a month payment, boring. I know you don't want to make $100 a month payment. You can make one payment. Okay. And that's it. Then the policy's paid. You make one payment of $15,000, you die, your family gets $30,000. We just doubled your money. That simple. That's called a single premium whole life policy. Lasts your whole life. There's still cash in it because you put cash in it that you could take out if you ever needed to. So that's one option. So instead of you making payments every single month, why don't we just make one payment? Done. You don't got to worry about it anymore. Or another route that we can go with that with someone that has cash is we can go down an annuity route. Okay. So with an annuity. So yeah, no, that's great. Pretty smart person. I'm glad that you got that cash saved away. Now, what happens when you pass away, we can go down that whole road and all that stuff, is the money that you have, you probably saved it because you want your kids or your grandkids to have it. So what we want to do is help protect that asset. Money in the bank earns nothing. This isn't 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when you can actually get an interest rate at the bank. Is that right? What are they paying these days? 0.25%, 25 basis points. That's it. Nothing. You're basically losing money by sitting in there. In fact, you are losing money with the cost of inflation right now. Price of everything's gone up. So what we have here is something that'll help you protect your family now, but in the future, because you're probably not investing it because you might be a little scared because it's not guaranteed that it's going to be there. What this does is this helps ensure that it'll be there when you need it, because it's guaranteed to never lose money. And when you earn money, you get to keep it. So let's say, for example, you put $100,000 in here. That $100,000 then earns 10%. Now you got $110,000. Perfect. After that $110,000, the following year, let's say it gains another 10%. So now you went from 110 grand to around another $11,000. Now let's say you're at $121,000. Then the stock market crashes. Instead of it going to 50% of that, like it would if you had a brokerage account, it stays at 121. You don't lose anything. That's the beauty of having something with the G word that no one else can guarantee you. Guaranteed. Just like with this life insurance here, it's guaranteed to pay. That's why you pay a nice price for it. And there's a lot of value in that. Megan, go ahead. Chester, you had your hand up too. Megan, what do you got for me?
Okay, so everything you're saying sounding good. I realize the importance of needing something in place for my family. I just can't afford something right now. Can you come back in a couple months and then we'll get something set up?
Yeah. Okay. So that's actually very important. All right. I love that. Thank you. So let me go ahead and go over that one real quick, because that's something that's definitely important initially, right? There's this kind of thing you could do. It's like a needs analysis and you can go over their budget and all that stuff. That takes a lot of effort. Okay. So when someone usually tells me that, it might be something that I did wrong, because it could be the 8th of the month and then they think that they need money today. Okay. So I do want to revisit what I said earlier, which is, hey, just so you know, like, we don't collect any money or anything along those lines. You're on Social Security, you get paid the 3rd of each month. That's when they set it up. Okay. Like I said, I just need to go through this and see if you get approved. If you get approved, then we can go from there. So your first payment wouldn't even be till September anyways. Okay. Or this is even better. If you're at the end of the month, okay, and you're in that 35-day window, since they give you a 35-day draft period. And let's say we're at the end of August over here, and you're in that 35-day window, or RNA is 45 days, right? You can go out and you could say, let's say we're at the end of August. This isn't going to draft in September. It's not going to draft all the way till October. Right? So we got plenty of time, right? I can come back months later, but that is months later. Okay. So I understand that, hey, you don't have the money right now. And then you can also go into it, because sometimes I have found that people are just like, hey, like, honestly, I just got this furniture and I'm making payments on it. I only have 3 payments left. Oh, okay. So what we can do, by the way, is we can study, because listen, I know you chose the $100 a month option. Why don't we just start off with like $30 a month? So that way, if you die, your family doesn't have to sell the furniture that you just got, right? But at least you got something, because something's better than nothing. So if we start here, we can always increase the coverage. Wouldn't that make more sense to start lower and then go higher, but at least you got something? So that's the way I would handle that one, and see if at least we can just get our feet in the door. Sometimes I will tell you though, what I found in situations like that is if it's like, hey, just come back in a couple of months, we might have not done our digging good enough to figure out if there is something that's preventing them from doing that. Like, hey, we just got this. I usually see it a lot, like people finance furniture, or they're like, hey, I got a couple more payments on the credit card. I don't think those people buy frequently. I think that's still your opportunity to do it. But if it is a genuine objection like that, I think you need to have very, very strong follow-up game, because what will happen is they're just going to send another card in. So if you really go through everything I just said, and in the end of the day, they're still like, yeah, no, I just like I said, I just, I got 4 more payments on this, and then that's it. Like, okay, perfect. You got 4 more payments. I'm going to come back out in November. I'm going to send you a card in the mail when I get home tonight. I'm going to put it in my calendar right now. Okay. In fact, let's put it in your calendar so you don't forget me. I'm going to text you. I'll save my contact information so you know it's me, because you're probably like me. You're going to answer the phone when random numbers call you. So what I'll do is I'll save it. And then what we learned from E last week was I'm going to take a picture, a selfie, and put it in there with them. Right. So that's important too. So yeah, so you can get that, and I would overcome it this way. In my family, we take care of each other, so I don't need anything. So yeah, so you can get that from Nick. He said, in my family, we take care of each other, so I don't need anything. That is something that there definitely could be certain people that you sit down with where they're literally just like, hey, we don't need any insurance at all. And they just, no matter what, you could talk to them until you're blue in the face, and they're not going to get it. Right. Or like, hey, my son's going to take care of everything. He helps me with all these bills and stuff like that, and I don't have to worry about anything along those lines. Yeah, that's good and all. And those can be true. That can be like a real actual objection. So how about people with trust? All right. So let me go back to Nick's real quick. So yeah, what I would say to Nick is the same thing that I said earlier, which was kind of how life insurance is a very selfless thing to do. And it's selfish to not have life insurance without insulting them. Right. So yeah, life insurance is a very selfless thing to do. In your family, you do take care of each other. And one of the most important ways to take care of each other is by having something in place so they're not burdened when you pass away, right? Because there's 2 types of burdens when someone passes away. There's an emotional burden, which I can't help with. Everyone grieves differently, right? And then there's a financial burden. And that's my responsibility. It's my responsibility. It's my obligation to show you what you qualify for through that. Okay. So like I said, it just takes a couple moments. I'll go through this. I'll show you what you qualify for, and we'll go from there. Or after you say that, you would just revisit it again and be like, hey, based on these 3, which one makes the most sense? And see if you can overcome it that way. I have it through my job. I don't remember filling out the card. And then Marie said, how about people with trust? Okay, so we'll start with how about people with trust? So yeah, so trust issues is something that you definitely want to do that first. I mean, you can't get down to the end and you're asking for social security number, and there's like, no, I don't give no one my social security number. You probably did something wrong in the beginning. So if it's trust issues, you shouldn't even be getting down to the close and asking for the account and routing number. In fact, you should have the account and routing number already written down on the final expense worksheet or Medicare worksheet, whichever one you're doing at that point in time. You should already have all that information written down, because the trust issue, that's definitely a different call in and of itself, right? That could be a whole entire call, just which I did already on actually I did it. But yeah, building rapport and gaining the trust of the client. That's not just a process you do in the beginning. It's a process you do through the whole entire conversation with the client, is keeping that rapport going, right? That common ground, and doing a technique called looping. Okay. And what looping is exactly what it sounds like. You loop back around. So if they don't trust you, loop back around, go back, stop what you're talking about. They don't trust me right now. I can't go any further. Loop back around to what they were talking about that they enjoy talking about, their grandkids that they love. Looping. So I would do the looping. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So no, like a will and set up trust. Yeah. So honestly, when it comes to like a will and a trust and stuff like that, our clients don't have them. 99% of final expense clients don't have wills or trusts set up. We're dealing with a lower income demographic. So I would say if you run into someone having a will or a trust, that's great for them to have it. But just because you have a will or a trust, that doesn't mean that the money's getting to the family in a snap of a finger, right? So it still is going to take time. Just because an attorney has a piece of paper saying who gets what, that doesn't mean that they get it. They get what at a very fast pace of time. And one way for clients to do it is, hey, just make sure the kid's on the house, make sure the kid's on the bank account. And even so, they're not just gonna, you don't just get to close that stuff out. I have it through my job. I don't remember filling the car. I have it through my job. So yeah, so for someone, here's the thing that's very important. I think Megan and I, we were dealing with this as well. So let me just check real quick. Megan and I were dealing with, I think it was Megan and I. All right, whatever. I won't even try and pull it up, but okay. So Megan and I'm going to go with you, Megan. Okay. I think it was Megan and I that were dealing with this. And someone actually said we were talking about this. They have it through their job. And I get this all the time, but the most recent one was Megan was in the home with the client, and this lady had some insurance through the state that she had worked for, or she worked for, it could be like she was a teacher, something like that. She had benefits through a company that she worked for through her former employer. And when she had those benefits through there, okay, they gave her insurance. And we didn't know who it was with or how much it was. So we did a little bit of digging. So I always say, hey, you know what? Like your pay stub that they give you, it tells you like the deductions and stuff like that. If you could just find that, we can figure out exactly how much it is. Because would you agree that you'd rather have your family have more than not enough? More or not enough, rather, right? Because if it comes down to it and you die and your family gets $5,000, and because the price of gas, depending on where you live, right, in the country, is $4 a gallon, right? Which means not only does every single truck, which the trucks use gas to get to the grocery store from the facilities where they have the food that we eat, right? Or the caskets need to get to the funeral home. That all is gas related. Inflation just on the gas prices, 20% of all inflation probably came from gas, if not more, right? So the price of everything in life goes up. And one thing that's really important that really smart people like yourself do, since you already got insurance on the job, I always compliment them, right? Really smart people like yourself, you already have insurance. You got insurance on the job. But things change, life changes, COVID hits, people get laid off. So smart people like yourself, what they usually do is they have something outside of work. And they got something outside of work for a just in case, but I also want to make sure my family has more than enough. Because the reality is you're not getting any younger and you ain't getting any healthier. So the rates right now are going to be the lowest that they'll ever be. People have something separate from the job all the time. It's a very smart thing to do. And smart people like you make smart decisions. So what we'll do is I'll go through the state regulated program and I'll show you what you qualify for. And we'll go from there. Is that fair? I don't remember filling out this card, take it, crumple it up and throw it in their face. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember filling out this card. Is something that you'll get at the door. When you get that at the door, what'll happen is, those be like, I don't have a piece of paper here. Here's one. So you hand it to them. They're looking at it and they're like, no, I don't remember. It's not my handwriting. I remember filling this card out. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So like I said, basically my job is just to kind of go through the state regulated program, show you what you qualify for. But you see, I was helping out one of your neighbors down the street. So I would just figure I'd stop on by and get the information out to you real quick. It just takes a couple moments of your time. I completely ignore what they just said. I don't care what they say at the door. Yeah, but I mean, I don't remember filling this out. Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, my job's real simple. Basically what I do is I just go through the state regulated program and I show you what you qualify for. Just takes a couple moments of your time. Yeah, but this isn't even my handwriting. Oh, that's okay. Someone over here, they obviously cared a lot about you to take time to kind of read it and fill it out. and send it back into our office. So like I said, my job's just real simple. I just kind of get the information out to you and I show you what you qualify for real quick. Just takes a couple moments of your time. And that's the way that I would handle it real quick. I always ignore what they say. Cool. We're out about 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. So Armando put in there, I use this website. Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to click it real quick. DoYourOwnWill.com. Sweet. I like it. Good stuff. Armando, drop that in the group chat too. The group chat. So I appreciate everyone for joining this evening. Thank y'all so much. I will see you guys on the Wednesday, 7 p.m. training call for Medicare this Wednesday, every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I'll definitely see you next week, every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for some more final expense training. Thank y'all. Have a wonderful evening.